What is happening? My name is Jon Denton and this is my review of Snake Pass on PS4. Heading to multiple platforms this March, Snake Pass comes from the team at Sumo Digital, a Sheffield-based studio that's been around forever. Basically famous for doing Sega ports of like Outrun and Virtua Tennis years and years ago. Gone on to do the Sonic and Sega Racing Transform games and are now having a stab at some of their own stuff. And so I would assume Snake Pass has been made by a smaller team within Sumo, perhaps as the result of a game jam or something like that, because it seems that the game was based around the technology and the game sort of built around that. So you control a snake called Noodle, little orange and yellow snake, and have to negotiate these tricky platform levels to collect brightly coloured keystones, 3 of which will unlock the next level. Now at first the game does hold your hand a little bit because you do need to spend quite a lot of time getting used to how it controls. It's basically not like any other game, and that's the interesting thing about Snake Pass. It genuinely feels new. It doesn't look new, it looks like a kind of modern reimagining of classic N64 brightly coloured cartoon platformers. But in controlling this snake, you are actually controlling a snake. So to gain any speed, you have to slither left and right. You can hold the X button to raise your head. The right trigger sends you forward, and you pull the left trigger to squeeze your body around a pole. It's effectively sort of tensing the snake, gripping onto whatever you're hanging onto. It's kind of a combination of a platformer and a physics-based game, but it's really, it truly is unique. And it's also excruciatingly difficult. Now the first few levels are fine, you're just negotiating these fairly simple worlds, working out how to climb up a platform using your snake sort of wiggling in between the little poles and grabbing on. Feels nice, and it does take a while to get used to, but quickly, probably about 6 levels in, the difficulty ramps up massively, and you are asked to do some very, very difficult things with this snake. And quite frankly, it is an exercise in pure frustration because you will be failing over and over and over again. And unlike a Super Meat Boy or one of those platformers that is built around that sort of trial and error mechanic, Snake Pass doesn't have the instant restart that those games have. It is checkpointed and you won't be sent back miles if you do fall down. Sorry, when you fall down. But do expect to be dropping down, moving your way back around, and there are sections, even from the 6th, 7th levels, which have 2 or 3 very, very difficult sort of platforms or pole sections to negotiate, and I found myself really almost losing the will to live at points. And I don't even know if it's necessarily a criticism of the game, because there's nothing it's really doing wrong here. The controls are superb, the feel of controlling this snake really is excellent, and that's one of the things about a game like this. It's become a common trend to just watch games on Twitch or on YouTube, and I think it's so important to get hands-on to really get the true experience of what a game can be. Watching Snake Pass and playing it are 2 very, very different things, and it really is all about feel and knowing exactly how far across the poles the snake's going to go to be able to stay up or fall down and when to grip. But because of that level of dexterity, the game does it very well, but it does demand a lot from you. And there isn't a huge amount of content. Yes, you can go back through all the levels collecting little bubbles and also collecting gold coins, which are well hidden, and there's a time trial mode that unlocks as well, but it's not a huge game by any stretch. But it's so difficult that it will take you a while, and you really have to go into it knowing that you're going to be punished. It really isn't the kind of friendly, happy-go-lucky game that it might look like, and it certainly sounds like it with its nice, quaint, jaunty music, nice visuals. But yeah, Snake Pass it's a motherfucker, quite frankly. I played it on PS4, it's also out on PC, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and I do feel like that's where it's probably going to find its best audience. Not necessarily its biggest audience, but it does feel like a game that's well suited to the Switch. Now, I haven't played it on that console, so I don't know if it runs as well as it does on PS4, where it runs fine. I wouldn't say the frame rate is amazing, but it's consistent, and it looks perfectly fine. Assuming it's the same on Switch, I would say that's probably the platform to go for. However, it may be a little tricky with those small analog sticks on the Switch Joy-Cons, because you are having to use very, very dexterous use of your thumbs to be able to negotiate these poles. Now, do I recommend Snake Pass? I think if you go in knowing that it's a punishing game, if you go in looking for something that feels new, it's not telling a new story, there's barely a story at all, it's not doing anything new visually, but it's doing something that games can do that no other medium can do. It's doing something that feels differently. I don't think it's a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. I think probably the difficulty spikes too quickly, and it is too demanding, and it is too frustrating without an instant restart. But there's something impressive and undeniably charming still, despite the difficulty, about Snake Pass. And it's nice to see a team like Sumo Digital, who incidentally I visited many years ago in my old job back on gamestm to do a studio profile. So it's great to see them still going from strength to strength. And I think there's a lot to like in Snake Pass, but at a time where there's a million other massive games out, it might not be the best time to invest in something that demanding right now. But if you're looking for something to play on Switch, again, assuming it runs as well on that console as it does on PS4, then I don't think you'll be disappointed. Again, if you go in knowing what to expect, this game is going to kick your ass. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I'm Jon Denton. If you like the idea of a YouTube gaming channel that celebrates the beauty and art of video games as well as talking about the industry from a kind of journalistic perspective, then please do think about subscribing to this channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!